Hello, people of the earth. Welcome to episode 3 of Chatty Ackie. Good. Have fun editing that. But yes, hello. Welcome to another episode or another video of me just talking about stuff. Although this one, I don't know how long it's going to last. Probably not as long either as the second episode. But I have a Triforce and a Link with me. You can see them, can't you? But they're here with me, and we're going to be discussing my first ever list for the series. And I may do more, but also on a heads up, it is taking a long time to sort out. So if I do another list, expect it to be 3 weeks rather than 2 weeks, because I'm being overworked, just as it is putting this one together, and I have yet to edit this footage into it. But I've been obviously finding footage for the stuff that I'm going to put in for this one. But yeah, just a heads up. So that I'll probably be taking 3 weeks if I do another list, and I probably will do another list. So yeah, 3 weeks until the next episode. Not 2, because otherwise I'll overwork myself, because I'm overworking myself now. And I don't want to. I want life to be easy. Anyway, that's what you're not here about, to hear my worries. I've got a big old sheet here. Actually make that 2. Actually make that 3. Of sheets of these lists. Don't worry, I'll be showing game footage. You won't see my ugly face throughout the majority of this. But yeah, I thought I would do my first ever list, and seeing as I'm a big Zelda fan, but not a big Nintendo fan, some people get confused, but hey, that's easy to do. I thought we'd start off with a Zelda list. There was a lot of lists that went through my head, but this is definitely the one that I wanted to, for some reason, talk about first. Because, yeah, there are, and so this, what's the title of this one, Ackie? It's my top 10 favourite dungeons in Zelda games of all time. Now, just because I don't put any, just in case if I missed some, then they're not on this list. Doesn't mean I hate them, it just doesn't mean they stand out enough. Okay? I mean, I like every dungeon, but there's some of them that just make you go, ooh, this is a great dungeon, and a great, you know, make this awesome, an awesome experience, or whatever. So that's the ones I've picked out that impressed me the most, or gave me the most kind of like, ooh, that was a good one, kind of thing. We're specifically looking, though, here are the rules laid out. No, I'm not going to display them there. Display them there? No, I'm just kidding. Now editing me is puzzled. Does he want me to put them there or not? No, don't put them there. I'll list them off with this thing called my mouth. So, the rules are, we're not looking at boss fights. We're looking at just the dungeon itself, its music, its aura, its presence, its environment, its puzzles, and the items you get within it and how they pertain to the puzzles. Now, fun it makes them, or yeah. So not looking at bosses here. That'll probably be another video, because yeah, the bosses for these ones aren't particularly amazing, but yeah, the dungeon more or less makes up for it. So with that being said, that's the rules. That's the only rules I've stuck out. Also, it doesn't matter which game. Obviously, some of my more favourite Zelda games, oddly enough, don't have the best dungeons, but I can play through them and they're enjoyable. Like I said, that doesn't mean I hate them, but these ones are more stand out. But yeah, so, well, I'm throwing it out there. So, let's begin our journey. Welcome to the 9 o'clock news. No, just kidding. Let's begin. Of course, as always, we start off with number 10. So what is number 10, Ackie? Number 10 is Eagle's Tower, from Link's Awakening. Yes, this is my favourite Zelda game, I'll admit, for those of you that don't know, but now you do. I did play it briefly during one of my March to the Retro series, didn't forget to finish it, and sadly, didn't get to play this level. Didn't get to play this level? I don't know. Didn't get to play this level, but it is one of the more interesting ones, simply because the fact that this thing is a tower, and it's presented that way even in this game, which is quite unique. The item you get in this dungeon is the mirror shield, which is an interesting item you'll come to learn. For me personally, later on as we go through this list, without giving out spoilers. But yeah, the mirror shield is the item. It doesn't provide that much. I mean, you do get to block shots against those evil lasers, the guys that shoot laser beams at you, which is very handy. So the item is not the big issue here, or the big factor here. The unique thing about this, as I said, it's laid out like a tower. So even the holes in the floor can help you progress, because usually in these kind of Zelda games you fall down a hole and then you end up just losing life or whatever. If you fall down a hole on this level, you end up on the lower floor. You've got to think really three-dimensionally on this dungeon, which is what makes it stand out, because like I said, in every other dungeon you fall down a hole, you lose health. This one, you just fall down to the where you would lower down in the tower, but that is if you're actually in an upper floor of the tower, obviously, otherwise you die. But it makes it a very clever maze, the way they've designed this one. It's one of the later dungeons in the game, and yeah, you get a bit lost, as I've heard people say. It's a very misleading and confusing one if you don't realize that you can fall down a hole and land in a room below, but it's a very unique concept because of that fact. Also, you get to pick up a large ball in this one. That's an interest for me. But you have to knock down the tower, basically, by hitting these pillars within the level. And after you've hit 4 pillars in the stage, it all comes down. You get a nice little cutscene as well, as I'm going to show here, of the tower descending after you demolish all the pillars, which is again a unique factor. This is what I'm looking for, you see, in these top 10s, is unique stuff for these dungeons, and this is definitely unique for this game. You get the cutscene, it's all three-dimensionally in terms of the pitfalls, and on a little note, the mid-level boss does actually pertain to the final boss. I know we're not looking at bosses here, but it's just a little interesting little fact there, that the mid-level boss, you face him and then you end up facing the final boss with this mid-level boss that you faced. So it kind of makes the final boss more important on that front, but there's no means a good level boss at the end. I find it quite boring. The music I need to mention in this level is actually, well, as you'd expect from a Game Boy game, it's not that amazing, but it certainly adds to the tone. This music makes you feel like you're definitely in an endless maze, and it's teasing and taunting you the whole time. Just take a listen at this. So there we go, Eagle's Tower. The things that make this unique is it's a very three-dimensional dungeon for a game this old. I mean, it was like, what, the third game ever made in terms of the Zelda series, so very good stuff. So, coming in at number 9 is The City in the Sky from Zelda Twilight Princess. Yes, this Twilight Princess for me is not a... Well, I wouldn't say it was a bad game. It's just not in my favourites list. It goes with all the other Zelda games that I hold in the same category. It's an enjoyable experience, and some of the dungeons are actually quite unique in it. This one being the first one. So the item you get in this one is the double hook shot. Now for once, this is an awesome item, you got to admit. Being able to grapple onto ceilings and items and walls with the hook shot, but then being able to attach yourself and link onto another thing while you're hanging from whatever it is you hooked onto in the first place almost makes you feel like a bit like Spider-Man. So there's that. So the double hook shot is definitely an awesome item, and I was puzzled about what item I would actually get in this dungeon, but here we are. And then it says that you got another hook shot. That means you can use two. I'm like, okay then. And then it just blew me away with how good it was. Again, I'll mention the music for this one. It really fits with the atmosphere. It helps with the atmosphere. It is kind of not the best track ever, but I'm not looking for I'm not looking here for music that's just good to listen to. I like music in my video games that is atmospheric, and this certainly sets the tone. I mean, you're in a city, in the sky. It's full of weird birds with faces. They have faces, I tell you. And just the aura of the place, it really feels like a special dungeon. It's, you know, they haven't had a lot of dungeons where you're up in the air, and then lo and behold, people in the comments probably going to tell me, well, that was this one. It's like, but this one really stands out to me as a one that was in the sky. Obviously, Breath of the Wild with a certain divine beast was also in the sky, but yeah, it was unique at this time to have a dungeon that was based above ground rather than in it or on it. So yeah, that stood out to me. And the boss, again, even though I shouldn't be mentioning him, this I think is the last one on the list where I do mention the boss, is the boss does torment you on a few occasions, well maybe once, when it demolishes a bridge. So there's that. So it just adds to the final battle. It's like you finally get to beat up this thing that's been bothering you throughout the course of the entire dungeon. All in all, it's a good stage, and it sucks that I have to play through a lot of the game because this is one of the final dungeons in the game, I believe. But it's well worth the wait. So, coming in at number 8 is the Dark Palace, which is from Link to the Past. So this is a remake, this was, of, sorry, it's not Link to the Past at all, is it? Yeah, it's a Link Between Worlds. Yeah, Link Between Worlds. I get confused between the two because, as I said, this is a remake of A Link to the Past, and I haven't actually played Link to the Past. Shoot me. But don't worry about that. I will be correcting that issue kind of soon. I mean, we are approaching March, you know. Who knows? So, what do I like about this one? Well, first off, I'm going to set the scene. Obviously this came out for the 3DS, and what do you do with a 3DS other than play it outside? You usually go to bed with it. Although I go to bed with my Switch nowadays. But yeah, when I was playing my 3DS late at night, just before going to bed, I come up to this place. And suddenly it gets a bit more creepy, which may have added to my experience because I did finish the entire dungeon off as in that night before I did go to bed and kept me up. So yeah, when you're playing this one at night, it kind of had a presence to it, and the music did not help. Have a listen to this. So as you can tell, the music for this really adds to the atmosphere of it being dark and creepy. And the only source of light, if you don't have your lantern with you, my goodness me, did it get dark. But yeah, you can light other things, but sometimes the unique thing about this dungeon is that sometimes the room has to be dark in order for you to see certain things like walls and floors to walk on, which is an interesting take. It reminds me of the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time in that respect, with that big room full of the invisible walls, and the only way you're able to see it is with the lens of truth, whatever it's called. So yes, that was definitely unique. So it literally had to be dark sometimes in order for you to find your way around the place, as well as being it. But you did have to light the place to be able to see some things. This of course has the item, the Master Ore, which is so cleverly hidden it isn't even featured on this video that I had to get for the footage here, because I didn't record this myself. That would take forever. But I have given credit, as you see down in the corner or somewhere, about where I've got the footage from. But yes, the Master Ore was really hard to find. I'm not going to tell you where it is, you have to find it yourself, sorry. There's also another interesting note here. Similar to Eagle's Tower, this level works extremely three-dimensionally, to the point where even the puzzles, there's a huge puzzle involving lights, which open up the final boss room. But you have to think about how to make the light shoot out of these little windows and whatever, and it has to shine down, but it shines down throughout all of the floors. So you have to work out where some of the lights maybe have gone to, and then break something so that they can shine through to where they need to shine through to you to solve the puzzle, which I found extremely puzzling and unique. But that's good. If a puzzle is puzzling, then it's a good puzzle. But yeah, very enjoyable and very atmospheric and very creepy dungeon. So, fun stuff. Moving on to number 7, we got the Divine Beast Valruta from Breath of the Wild. Yes, for those of you that watched the Let's Play, this was the first Divine Beast I actually wandered into, and my expectations were high for the other ones because this one was so good, and I'll explain why in a minute. But you know, after that, to give you a clue, none of the other Divine Beasts are on this list because they were kind of like subpar. So there's a few things to note about this particular level, and that is, so it has the best use, I believe, of the Divine Beast gimmick. All the rest are all about moving limbs or tilting and whatever, and adjusting the gravity force of the level, and okay, and in Naboris, which is an honourable mention, I guess, you had to rotate his stomach in order to get to different places. But this used the trunk of the elephant itself, which is kind of cool, and that was used, and it was constantly spraying water, and it would pertain to different areas, and it would affect different things depending on where you position the trunk, which was actually really cool, I thought. So it's got the best use out of how to operate a Divine Beast when you get inside. Also, once again, the music, I have to mention, we're going to listen to it in a minute, but one note is I'm only going to play one of the tunes. When you come in, it's all kind of very calm and relaxed, and you're in the Divine Beast. And then suddenly, as you start getting more terminals activated, it starts becoming more intense. Certainly, and this is the ending. Once you have all the terminals, this is the track that plays, and it's very atmospheric and it makes you very tension filled. Have a listen. So there's that one. And also, on a lighter note, this is a water temple. And it's good. Zelda is infamous for making water dungeons that you don't want to see the back of and never want to march into. The first time or whenever time. I still get fears of playing the water temple from Ocarina of Time, and also the water temple from Twilight Princess. So, you know, it's a good water. This is technically, it's got to be a water dungeon, because Naboris isn't, and the other two, the bird and certainly the one on the volcano, is Rodania, is not a water thing, because that's on a volcano. So yeah, this is a water dungeon as far as I'm concerned. The main water here is gimmick. The main gimmick here is water, or the main water here is gimmick. I don't know. Make your mind up there, English-speaking Ackie. But yeah, so that's what makes it very, very unique. And hey, look, I finished with this first bit of paper. So with that being said, let's move on to number 6, which is the Spirit Temple from the Ocarina of Time. Yes, I fucking love this temple. Out of all of the dungeons in this game, like I said, I don't mind them. They're rather enjoyable, but this one oddly stands out to me, and you're probably wondering why, maybe, but hey, let's face it, we get a mirror shield here in this one too. Me and my mirror shields, I love them. But I love the challenge that it brings and the puzzles that it can bring with the whole reflecting things off of different surfaces just to activate stuff. For some reason I like that. It gives the shield more of a priority than just to block things. It's actually there to be used for other things, to add to the puzzle experience, which is always a good thing with me. So that's why I probably love the mirror shield as an item in general, no matter what Zelda game it is. It really brings a new challenge and a new meaning and a new purpose for your shield, and I'm always digging items that become more relevant or more important as the game progresses, and the mirror shield is definitely that kind of thing. The other unique thing about this dungeon is the fact that, well, you get to play as both the young version and the adult version of Link in this one. First entering it as the young version of Link to just further yourself so that you can come back as an adult in the future to go into the dungeon. So you get the best of both worlds here. If you like either the young version of Link or the adult version, you get to play this one, because I kind of missed playing as the younger version of Link in this game, because you only got 3 dungeons, and then maybe the bottom of the well is 1, 2. The rest is all adult, so it was a welcome return to playing another dungeon with the younger version of Link and having to use his items that he can only use as a kid, rather than having to just stick with the adult items. So it really does add to the temple and its aura. Also, once again, the music must be mentioned. It really adds to the atmosphere, and actually I kind of just like it as a song, because oddly enough I find it relaxing, even though some people may find it haunting. But let me know what you think after you've listened to this. And with that being said, let's move straight on to the number 5 entry on my list, which is the Earth Temple from the Wind Waker. Oh yes. So we were mentioning mirror shields earlier. How about we have 2 mirror shields? Oh yeah, what's better than one? So this is an escort level. But escort levels, as we know, can be a bit tedious, and I did find the other one in this game to be a bit kind of meh. Between the two, because there's the Wind Temple and the Earth Temple where you have to escort the 2 sages through the level, but I kind of felt the Wind Temple later on after this dungeon is kind of like, it wasn't much of an escort mission. It was like plant tree, use slingshot, or use hook shot, sorry, to get further in the level. That's not really using co-op play. This was a good co-op play. Good old Medley here, I think that's her name, isn't it? Escorting you through this level, and she really was an escort. She had an important role to play. She would be using her harp to reflect light in certain places, and sometimes you had to do it together, which was really cool. So it really brought together the character and the bond, which is a very important thing, I believe, and it made this dungeon definitely very unique because the secondary player had a role, and it was so good just being able to do the command melody to play as her. Definitely made this extremely unique, and that's what we're looking for here, remember. And on a note of the light puzzles and the mirror puzzles, this dungeon has the ultimate light mirror puzzle. And I fucking walked into the room the first time I played this game and went, oh my goodness, is this like a huge flipping puzzle filled with lights and mirrors? Oh, this is gonna be, I had loads of fun in that room. What is my fascination with lights and mirrors? I don't know. But yeah, with Zelda it's always good, but I thought with this game they really just blew it out and made it just huge, and it's a huge room where you have to figure out where to go and what mirror to put where and where to stand her and whatever, so that it actually works. And yeah, love it. I'm not going to mention the music on this one because what music is there in this one? I guess the only thing you can mention is the screaming re-deads, which sound like goddamn elephants. So yeah, not as terrifying as the Dark Palace, but definitely a spooky little stage with very good mechanics for your escort and your power-ups, and just this huge light mirror puzzle in this room. Love it. So moving on to number 4 now, we have Snow Peak Ruins from Twilight Princess. Yes, once again, Twilight Princess returns with another one. And this won't be the last one on the list either. Hint, hint. There will be one more dungeon I mention here in this list, but I'm giving away spoilers. So this level I placed here because it is, like, there's so many good things to mention about this one. The fact that you have to, the only way for you to heal up is by the soup that those Yeti people make. And you know, this is a unique dungeon in the fact that you have to, it's a level, but it also feels like it's not a level in that respect because you've got people living in it. It's a freaking mansion, and a huge mansion at that. Some people may be saying, well, the Forest Temple from Ocarina of Time is a mansion of some sorts, but it's like, it didn't feel like a mansion. It felt like no one was living there. People were still living in this one and making soup. So, you know, it kind of added to it. It's like, well, here comes Link to exterminate all your critters for you, while you just complain and lie around and stuff, and talk really weird. But the item you get out of this dungeon is definitely one of a kind. It's the ball and chain that you get, which is useful for smashing. This is fundamentally an ice temple as well, and so the ball and chain really comes in handy with obviously the main mechanic, which is smashing all the ice, and also very useful on taking out enemies as well. And it's an awesome item. Just seeing Link swing that ball around his head and then fling it out. is blinking amazing, and I loved it when I first picked it up. And it definitely stood out as an item just by itself, not minus the dungeon even. So yeah, and I love the music for this one too. Take a listen to the music for this one. It's kind of interesting, and it's a bit mystifying at the same time, but it kind of suits. Have a listen. Oh, and on one final note for this level, there's 3 words that'll be etched into my memory for this level. Not take mirror. Number 3 on our countdown here. We're entering the top 3, so this has got to be a big one. And it is the Tower of the Gods from the Wind Waker. Oh yes, the Wind Waker returns. Haha. This is my, for those of you that don't know, I may as well mention it now that this is my second favourite Zelda game. Still is. Maybe Breath of the Wild is getting there, but yeah. I still like this one because it's still the most Zelda-y. Despite the graphical nature, it feels more Zelda-y than Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is definitely unique. There's no question about that, but let's focus on this one. And yeah, Wind Waker is still my second favourite for now. The item you get for this one is not that thrilling. You just get a bow and arrow, but hey, bow and arrows can't be bad. Always enjoy getting a bow and arrow in a Zelda game, but that is not the main focus here for this one. Just the level design for this one, once again, is kind of good. Just like Eagle's Tower, the level is literally shaped like a freaking tower. You start at the bottom, like quite literally in the ocean entrance, like. I guess you could say this is the water temple of this place. But no, I don't class this as a water temple at all. It's too futuristic, technical looking. And it is pretty much shaped like a tower. You have the bulk of it at the beginning, rather than the bottom floor. And then as you make your way up, things get more interesting and more technological, which is weird in this kind of game. But hey, we've had signs of technology before in Zelda, but this and a few other places really puts the nail in the coffin that this may be ahead of our futuristic time even. It's a post-apocalyptic future, shall we say, if this is the Tower of the Gods. One little thing I put down here is the fact that Link talks. Hear him, right here. Come on! Come on! So yeah, Link has to talk to these statues, which is a unique puzzle in themselves. I really like having them follow me along doing that doom, 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 doom. Yeah, it's really quite cool. It's like, yeah, come on Mr. Statue, let's go on an adventure together and come and stand on this button for me. But yeah, that's the uniqueness as far as I'm concerned for this. And just really good puzzles and everything, and it involves all the water going up and down, and yeah, the upper floors just get more interesting as you go. The music, once again, is another atmospheric one. I kind of like the music for this one too, but yeah, it's very, once again, mysterious and kind of adds to the mood that you're descending up a huge tower, and the Tower of the Gods of all things, to face a big challenge at the top. Not that it is a big challenge, but hey, we're not voting on the boss here. We're looking at the dungeon, as I said before. take a listen to the music and just picture yourself, even close your eyes while listening to the music, and picture yourself going up a huge staircase towards a very bright light doors. That's what I see when I listen to this music. Have a listen. So there you go. There's the Tower of the Gods for you. All in all, really good. And now we're on to the final sheet of paper. No, over there. That's better. Troublemaker, that one. I'll tear him up later. Alright then, so moving on to number 2. And what is number 2, Ackie? Number 2 is the Temple of Time from, yeah, you guessed it, Twilight Princess. So this is the final level that I like in Twilight Princess. Like I said, I don't like the game that much, but the dungeons make up for it in this one. So it may be in my top 5 Zelda games, but it would be number 5 for sure. Just because the dungeons are really good, but I don't. There's something about Twilight Princess I don't particularly like, but we'll get into that. That's another story for another day. But this temple, oddly enough, the reason I like this one the most is because the Temple of Time in Zelda games has always been like an important place to be. This one really brought it home, that the Temple of Time, they turned it into a dungeon, which added to its importance. It's like, this is a big, huge, massive place full of dangers and wonderful things, as we will understand as we go on here. But yeah, the Temple of Time as a dungeon really is cool and really stands out for me, and it's just amazing being able to, like, well, usually in the game when they said, oh, you need to head to the Temple of Time, I'd be like, okay, we head to the Temple of Time. I walk into the Temple of Time, I get greeted with a dungeon opening. It's like, okay then. So this is a dungeon. Okay then, I'm digging it already. As I would say, if I was playing it fresh on a Let's Play, that's probably what I would say. I know my own lyrics too much. So what the item you get in this dungeon is freaking amazing. It is the Dominion Rod, which is a unique item to say the very least. You get to control, you know when I said in the Tower of the Gods you get little statues to follow you? In this one, you get to control them with this Dominion Rod. And there's one that's literally following you around, and you have to take it all the way. You get the Dominion Rod after defeating the mid-level boss. Obviously, that's usually how it goes. But then you have to take him all the way back through the dungeon past the traps, but at least you get to smash all the traps up that you've gone through. So it's really satisfying, which makes it satisfying enough. It's like you've done all this work. Now you get to control a giant statue with a big hammer, and he gets to just smash everything up and kill all the enemies with it and whatever. And it's just that's really cool. And also the item also pertains to the final boss. Which is rather interesting. It's a giant spider of all things. I know we're not counting the boss in here, but I want to point out the uniqueness of this item, and you get to bring it down this giant freaking hammer just to smash the spider and kill it, which is really cool. I was having a ball with this one, so that's why it is number 2 on this list, because this item alone just makes the level really awesome. But yes, also I bet you think this is a bell. It's not, it's a teleport device for this giant statue. Who saw that coming? That's what I thought when I first came in. It's like, ooh, there's a giant bell here. Oh wait, this isn't a bell at all. Disappointment. Oh, never mind. No, I wasn't disappointed. I thought that was actually kind of cool. It's like teleporting the entire statue somewhere else. What the hell's going on here? But yeah, just again, the importance of this temple is cool, and making the Temple of Time not just an important place to show up in, but a meaningful place and a nice little challenge as well. It adds to the importance of it, and that's cool. So, to recap. I need my paper back again. Got it. Let's have a recap before I announce my most favorite dungeon. To be honest, I probably made the video just because of the dungeon. But it's how much I freaking love it. But yes, let's have a countdown before I announce the number 1 dungeon that I like of all time. So coming in at number 10 was Eagle's Tower from Link's Awakening. Number 9 was The City in the Sky from Twilight Princess. Number 8 is The Dark Palace from Link Between Worlds. Number 7 is Divine Beast Valruta from Breath of the Wild. Number 6 is the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. Number 5 is the Earth Temple from the Wind Waker. Number 4 is Snow Peak Ruins from Twilight Princess. And number 3 is the Tower of the Gods from the Wind Waker. Number 2 was the Temple of Time from Twilight Princess. But now we move on to number 1. Here we go. Number 1 is the Laranu mining facility from Skyward Sword. Oh my god, where do I start with what I like in this level? This level's gimmick, the time shift stones and everything, could be not just a dungeon, but its own frickin' game in itself. That's how good this is, I believe. The person who made this game, I've forgotten his name because it's Japanese, so I should have written it down here, but I didn't. But it's his favourite dungeon out of this game as well. But then again, when you think Skyward Sword, you don't think very good dungeons. And this, unfortunately, is a hidden gem in this game, and it really gets downsized because Skyward Sword is not that good of a Zelda game, per se. I think a lot of people didn't like it that much. There was a lot of backtracking involved. But this level is a secret gem in the making. You know how much I like this level? I made 2 levels on Little Big Planet based off of this gimmick that this level offered. Just the whole time shift stones. And again, with the Tower of the Gods I was mentioning, this is more further proof, perhaps, that the timeline of current Zelda is based after our future. So think about our future and all the technology it holds. And then think of a time after that there might be some major computer shutdown or whatever, because the whole area, the whole mining facility, and outside of the in Laranu itself, it's filled with robots that have rusted over, and And if you use the time shift stones to go back in time, as it says, back in time, the robots suddenly become active again, and they're little mining robots, and they're freaking adorable. And also the whole dungeon just transforms when you hit one of the time shift stones, and it all looks futuristic, and there's conveyor belts and electricity running everywhere, and the floors are all lit up with lights. And it's quite a spectacle to look at, and this is definitely, that's why this one stands out and is probably my most favourite dungeon of all time. But there's other things, there's other reasons. The item that you obtain in this dungeon is the Gust Bellows, which many are saying, well, that's not the best item in the world, and I'm like, yeah, but it stands out so much that it's become a weapon in Super Smash Bros. So it couldn't be that bad, and also I love the ability to be able to just blow some enemies backwards with it, like like those little scorpion things are just adorable to just blow around with. And also some of the puzzles involve blowing away sand when you're in the current day version of this temple. Again, the music, I oddly enough love the music. It's the first thing I noted when I walked into this. This dungeon is known for being the longest dungeon in the entire Skyward Sword game, and the music definitely suits it in being very repetitive, but at the same time it really sucks you in, and I can tell Nintendo had fun because they have two different versions, both for the past version and for the current day version of the dungeon. Obviously current day, it's all overgrown, it's all sandy, and it's all dusty and dirty, and you know, it hasn't been very well looked after, and everything's dying or broken, and the music definitely reflects that. And then when you hit a time shift stone and you go into the past and everything starts becoming active again, the music really, really kicks up a notch, and it's fucking epic. Have a listen to this. Imagine yourself in a futuristic environment filled with lasers and technology just working around you. Have a listen. It's flipping awesome. And so that is going to end things off, unfortunately. I do have some honourable mentions here, so we might as well get through them. First one is the Forest Temple. Again, it was because, well, it is a unique dungeon in the fact that it is kind of a mansion, like I mentioned with the Ice Peak Ruins, but it's not that special. Certainly the windy, twisty corridors are something to mention. But that's about it, and it didn't really match up, and yeah, it's got atmosphere and music and whatever, but yeah, there's not much to this dungeon that meets the eye per se, minus the little pose you have to face. But yeah, it didn't match up to what else I had on the list, so that's why that's not on here. Also, Arbiter's Grounds which is from Twilight Princess. I didn't want to put this in because I already felt like I had too many dungeons from this one, and this one doesn't particularly stand out. It's just got the atmosphere, and it's one of the more creepy ones. I think this game is known for this dungeon just by itself, but yeah, I don't need to give it any recognition. It is what it is. So that's another one. And also Divine Beast founder Boris. I really did like this one, but again, it's the music that didn't do it for me. I was really disappointed with the music from that one, from Breath of the Wild. But you get to see it walking when you're on it, which is kind of cool, and probably the second best mechanic from what the gimmick of the level is in terms of what you can control on the Divine Beast. But it, again, doesn't stand out as much as my big giant elephant squirting water everywhere. Oh, whatever. Take that as you will. So there you go. What do you think? Let me know about your favourite levels from the Legend of Zelda series. Do you agree with me with my list? If you do, is there other reasons why you like these particular dungeons? Let me know in the comments, if you dare. I don't bite. But well, I'd love to just stop and chat about Zelda Dungeons. Let me know what ones you like and why, and you know, we can have a good old rant about it. But yeah, I'm going to close things off. But I'm going to thank everyone for listening, and I don't know what the next list will be. It's up in the air. But if you have maybe a suggestion to leave me on what my thoughts are, this was fun to put together. I know for a fact I'm going to enjoy putting it together, even though I haven't done it yet, but yeah. But I'm just saying that. But yeah, I'm going to do another list probably for next time, but we will be in the middle of the March of the Retros when that happens.
Nope.
So it may be retro themed, unless you swayed me otherwise. But either way, I'm going to thank everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, the Zelda Dungeons. I love all of them, but those ones definitely stood out as being the most unique, and definitely the last one is a well-deserving one. That's just an amazing dungeon, and hopefully, that's why I was hoping on Breath of the Wild, if you've watched that Let's Play, that I actually said, oh, I hope Larony was like the one in Skyward Sword, because I fucking loved it. Loved it so much. It was amazing. But I will see you however and whenever. Good day. And goodbye. Say bye, Linky Poo. Bye bye. Come on. Bye.